So today we're going to go over my brother's Jeep Gladiator. It's a 2020, and he went with a Sport because he knew he was going to do all this, you know, all the stuff that he's done to it. But anyway, we're going to go over all the different things that he's done, and this is a pretty cool build. I think you're going to like it. So let's start up here in the front. In the front, he's got a Poison Spider bruiser bumper, and this one's kind of nice because it lets the winch kind of sit down in and keeps it out from in front of the radiator. And then, of course, he's running the Warren Xeon winch, and this is actually the 12,000 pound instead of the 10, which probably not a bad idea since he's a little heavier than like the JL. But and he's used it a few times. And then he's got the factory 55 hook, so it's a closed system. He's got the rope guard on there with it, and then he's put a couple, you know, D-rings up here on the front. And then he's gone with rigid lighting inside the bumper. So he's got some rigid on this, and then he's also got some KC lights on it as well. So in the bumper he's got rigid light. They worked really well. And then if you look up on top, the lower lights, his A-pillar lights, they are rigid lights, and then his ones up on top are KC lights. And then he actually did some custom graphics and replaced the KC on them, which I think it looks pretty cool. You have to let me know what you think in the comments. But and then he's also got some lights, which I'll show you when we get around to the back, in the back of the Jeep in his bumper, and I'll talk about those when we get back there. But anyway, so that kind of covers, you know, the front right here, and his lighting. And then we're kind of moving to the side here. He's got, so these fenders actually, because his is a Sport, they don't come apart. You can't do the fender chop on them. So these are actually Rubicon fenders. They actually came off my 2018 JL. And I took them off and I put the Genrite aluminum bumpers on, and I still had them. And so when he did his build, he actually took them and did the chop part of it, took the lower part off, and then he did the American Venture Lab blinker light with your blinker and stuff in it. One other thing that I almost forgot is his rock lights, and they're rigid lights for the rock lights as well. And so he's got them, you know, he's got some up here and then towards the back, and works really good when we've been out a few times in the dark, rock crawling or just whatever we're doing. So a lot of the lights he's got on here rigid, but his upper lights are KCs. So we're going to move around here to the side and kind of talk a little bit about the drivetrain and what he's done to that as far as the lift and all that kinds of stuff. So he did swap out the axles to Dynatrac 60s front and rear. He's running 538s in them and the E-locker, you know, for the lockers. To go along with the axles, he did go with the PSE hydraulic assist steering, which, running the size tires he's running, even not this big, when you're locked up with the lockers, it's just hard to turn when you're in the rocks and stuff. When I was running them on my JL, I started out with 37s, and you get in the rocks and yeah, it's super hard to turn. I mean, you gotta kind of keep moving a little bit and turning. It's probably harder on everything too. But anyway, so he's got the PSE steering, which is awesome. I mean, I've got him on my Jeeps. And then he's also swapped out the front sway bar to a sway lock, which actually has a little lever that you flip and then you can undo it, and then it allows that to kind of similar to like the Rubicon one. Sway bar, but it's not, you just can't do it from inside the cab. It's a lever on the side. But anyway, so that works pretty good, and then you flip that lever back and it'll lock itself back up. So works really good. And then to go with I guess going on to his tires, he's running a Nitto Trail Grappler, and they are a 40 by 13 and a half and a 17-inch wheel. And we've had really good luck with the Nitto's Trail Grapplers. They've been super durable. Put them through a lot of abuse, and they've done really well. And the traction's really good, and they're not terribly noisy on the highway either. But then then he's running those on a KMC beadlock wheel, which is super. I mean, it's super nice because when we get out wheeling, whether we be in the snow or in the rocks, you can air down. I think he's been down, I think in the snow, I think you remember, to 3 pounds, which is, and didn't lose a bead, of course, because you have the bead locks. But it just allows you to go really low in the snow so that you can stay up on top. Allows you to go down. On the rocks, we generally, at least I do, I think he's similar, generally run about 8 pounds. I just like it. They're a little heavier than this other, but just the things you can do with them that you can't with other wheels and not have any problems is just awesome. And then for the suspension, he went with Evo, a 6.5 inch overland suspension, and which he's been really happy with. And then it came with the King off-road shocks to go along with that suspension, which is, they're good shock. So I think that pretty much covers the suspension and, you know, all the tires, wheels, all that kinds of stuff. Let's move around here to the side a little more and talk about a couple more things. Okay, moving around here to the side. So he went with the Rock Slide Engineer steps, which they're pretty cool. And he's got the steps, plus he's got the armor, which is another piece of metal that goes onto it to protects the step better. And he's put them through some pretty good stuff. You get looking on him. This side's not as bad as the other side, but he's got some pretty good scratches on him from being in the rocks. But the nice part about that is you've got a step that comes down, especially being as tall, you know, 6.5 inch and all that. So, but yeah, you can kind of see they'll kind of drop down and super cool. I ended up, my JL, my 2018 JL, I just put rock sliders on, which I really like. But when I went to build my 392, I ended up going with these just because it's a lot taller, and I'd seen kind of what the abuse that they'd taken on his. One thing I missed on the, you know, when I was talking about the lights is the bracket. And this is a Go Rhino bracket that it's the arm that goes up that hooks to the KC light bar and the lights. And it's pretty durable. He actually started with another brand. Don't really remember what the brand was, but anyway, it actually had cracked and had some things that I think it actually bent. And then anyway, had some problems, so he actually replaced it with this one. And this one seems to be a lot more durable. So we'll see how it lasts. All right, so moving around here to the back, kind of go over his bumper. So he went with the Rebel Off-Road bumper, and I believe it's the Summit bumper. But anyway, super solid bumper. He's had it sitting, I don't know if you can tell, but he's got scratches from, I mean, he's had it sitting full on rocks, and then he's got scratches, and it's protected his Jeep really well. So it's done its job. And then in the light, or in the bumper for the lights, he's got the rigid lights again back here as well. So that kind of covers, you know, what he's got here in the back. At one point he had a tray system in the back for a while, doing some of our camping and stuff, which for some things works good, and sometimes other things it doesn't. But whether he puts that back in or not again, I don't know. But anyway, so let's go from here. Let's go take a look on this couple things on the inside that he's done. So climbing in here, just a couple things I want to go over. He went with the 67 design rail, and then he's just got a phone mount, but he has the ability to add more to it if he wants to. Another thing he's running up here is the rugged radio, GMRS radio, same one that I run in mine. Works super good. One thing we really liked about having it wired in is you don't have to be trying to keep all the batteries charged on those little handhelds. That's the one thing. They worked pretty good, but we were just always, I mean, at least for me, I was always dead batteries, trying to keep things charged or whatnot. But having one wired right into your Jeep, you can just jump in, turn it on, you're ready to go. One other thing he added was a trailer brake, so that he's got a little trailer you can pull behind it with the brakes on it. So that kind of covers right here. Let's take a look at the back of the cab and show you a couple things he's got going on there. All right, so moving back here, he's got a little tray, Molly type thing. It's an 813 factory design. Little tray, it's got Molly on it and everything. And it's kind of cool because it gives you a spot you can put some things. This is where he's got his ARB, dual ARB air compressor back here, which makes it so he can air up his tires when he airs them down, or get a flat, then you can fix it or whatever and air them back up. But anyway, so he's got that back here, and he's got out each side, he's got a plug-in, so he can plug in from either side of the Jeep. So he's actually got a switch over there to turn everything on and off. And then he's got, you know, a key that actually hooks into these things here, and you can lock the seat down. So if you have the top off, which he's had off before, they can't just flip your seats up and get whatever you have underneath. So it's kind of a cool design. I actually really like it. Works really well. So that, I think, pretty much takes care of everything inside the Jeep now. That kind of wraps up kind of all the stuff he's done to his Jeep up to this point. I kind of asked him what would be his next 2 upgrades that he'd want to do. One of them, he'd kind of like to do the coilovers in the front, leave the back the way it is, just because coilovers are more weight specific. And so the rear, if you're putting weight in and out, whether you're camping or not camping or rock crawling or whatever, this coilovers or the coil springs actually work a little better for that. So that was one of the things he'd like to do, the coil springs in the front, coilovers. And then the other thing he'd like to do is change out the transfer case to something with a lower gear ratio, whether it be an Atlas or a Rubicon transfer case. He kind of has the same thing with my 392 that I noticed right off. It's geared high enough. I just like that lower gear, and he's got a TJ that's geared even really, really low. And so going from that and something that's higher, yeah, you miss the lower gears. So that's the second thing he'd like to change down the way. So anyway, I hope you like the build. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of it. And we got some more good things coming up, and we'll see you on the next one.